Hi, everyone. I'm Stuart Brazel, and welcome to this BigCommerce Live. As you can see, we have a full house today, and we're talking multi-storefront. We're going to cover a lot of important stuff for you guys, but first, I want to introduce you to our panel. You guys know my friend Shane Barker, but let him introduce himself to you as well.
Hey, Stuart. Nice to see everybody here. So, yeah, Shane Barker. Once again, don't have enough time to talk about all the different stuff I've got going on as a UCLA instructor. Have been in the e-commerce space for ever since it was e-commerce, digital space for 25 years. Been around doing a lot of stuff, used to own a bar, all kinds of other fun stuff. But been around excited about today, about talking about multi-front stores. So once again, excited.
And Kristina.
My intro will be much shorter. So I'm a product manager here at BigCommerce, managing multi-storefront delivery. So I really hope that you all are going to like multi-storefront. Otherwise, all the hate will go directly to myself. So I'll do my best to answer all the questions and to help you better understand what it is and how it can help your business. Halie?
All right, no criticizing Kristina, everybody. All right, Halie, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kristina. So my name is Halie. I am in product marketing here at BigCommerce, and I supported Kristina and our product and engineering team in general with launching this product to the market. So any questions about business needs, when it comes to marketing, messaging, what we did, who this is for, feel free, ask them, provide feedback. Love to hear what you think about it, how it's working for your business, and any questions that you have. All right. That's you, Anthony.
All right, so I'm definitely going to be the shortest. I'm Anthony, and I've been with BigCommerce for 8 years. I am Senior Director of Engineering, and I got to work with Kristina and all the wonderful teams at BigCommerce to deliver this product.
I love it. Well, if you're watching us, we're streaming live right now on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Feel free to ask questions live. That's what we're here for today. You can drop those in the chat and we'll get to them. And also, if you think someone else might like this show, retweet us, share on your Facebook, all of that good stuff. So to start us off, what is multi-storefront? And I'm going to give this to you, Halie.
Okay. All right. This is my favorite question to answer here. So multi-storefront, like what even is that term, right? So at BigCommerce, if you are working and you have a store typically, right? You have your store, it's an online store, you sell your products here. And that's essentially what we offer is a store. Well, with every store, there's typically one storefront. You as a consumer are probably like, okay, I get a storefront. That's where I actually go to the website. That's where I buy and interact with the products. So typically it was that one-to-one relationship. But we had so many merchants that came to us and said, well, I manage multiple websites because I have different brands or I sell into different countries. And so I need to be able to have multiple unique storefronts. So before they had to have multiple stores to manage that, like separate stores that weren't connected, completely separate entities. That's not really that efficient. It doesn't work for a lot of businesses. So that's why we introduced multi-storefront, which is basically one store. So just think of one backend admin that you manage all your orders, your products, your customers, all of that in one place. And then you can create unique storefronts, which are just unique shopping experiences that can have their own domain names, themes, products, etc. on them that you could have for your different brands, but then manage them with any single place. So essentially that is multi-storefront in a nutshell.
I love it. So how would that, for people that are maybe new to e-commerce, so people like me that are always learning, how is this different from your standard e-commerce site?
So how it's different than just a standard e-commerce site. So from a shopper, like if you're thinking of I'm shopping online, you might not even know if a merchant is using this, right? Like some you might be able to look at a site and they want to keep their brands. Like let's say they host a family of brands. I'll think of like a Gap, Old Navy, they all are in the same brand family, and you can see the button at the top which shows the different brands. So that could be a use case for multi-storefront from a shopper's perspective. And also for regions, right? You might get to see like the different country flags where you click on the flag and then you see a localized experience. So that would be the perspective from a shopper, but it can also be completely disconnected. So you might not even know as a shopper that these sites are connected on the back end. So that's really from a basic perspective. And then from a merchant's perspective, again, it's all about the efficiency in managing this from a single back end, which gets a little bit technical, but just think of all of your orders, your products, your customers in a single place.
Well, I know just from a social media standpoint, you don't want to have to be logging on and off of all your platforms. You want to be able to just bounce around. It's the same if you have multiple Instagram profiles, right? It's so much easier to just do that than have to log on, log off, and then it just takes more time. And I feel like we're all about time, right? How do we do things quicker, easier? And it sounds like this would be really beneficial. So what sort of businesses do you think would use multi-storefront? We kind of talked about the clothing businesses, these kind of bigger ones, but who else do you think would this be a smart choice for? Who could benefit?
Take this one. Christine and Anthony will get some really fun questions later on.
I'm good. I'm making you work at the top, Halie.
Here we go. Going in strong here. So the businesses that really benefit from this, right? It's kind of hard if you're thinking like, is there a specific vertical? Like in product marketing, you get asked that, like, does this pertain to a specific vertical, or is this really relevant for a specific size of business? And it's really hard. It doesn't really, like, we have so many merchants from just starting out their business that are maybe trying different marketing strategies and want to launch a website with a certain brand and see if that works, and then try something else out, all the way to really, really large established brands that have multi-region websites that they need to manage. So who it benefits really is, we like to think of it in three main use cases. So the first, that being multi-brand, which is just a merchant that has multiple brands. They own a brand portfolio, and one that Kristina always likes to use too is like Victoria's Secret and Pink, or like Nike and Jordan, right? So like these are really, really huge brands that, if you're a shopper, you're probably shopping them all the time. So I'm referencing them. And they own lots of brands underneath their brand portfolio. And you might have like some Converse or Jordan shoes on your Nike site, but then you might have a completely separate Nike site that's different and unique only for those products. So that's multi-brand. The second use case is multi-segment. So in e-commerce, you've probably seen a lot. If you're following the trends in e-commerce, it's B2C, B2B, it's B2B businesses going online, that hybrid. What is this hybrid retail use case? So that's multi-segment. So merchants that sell to consumers, and then they also manage and sell to other businesses. So they could have two different unique experiences, one that's very consumer focused, one that's very business focused. Amir, yeah. One that's very
business focused. Some fans, you got some cheerleaders, Halie.
No, Amir, I appreciate it. And so obviously everyone wants a very different shopping experience. That should be tailored towards them, and a B2B buyer buys very different than a B2C buyer. So you create those experiences with multi-storefront. And then the last one is multi-region. That one's very common, especially in Europe, because Europe's a smaller country or continent where lots of countries are selling into each other. And so we'll talk about that use case in a little bit, but that's the other very relevant use case for multi-storefront.
I also have to say, from a consumer perspective, I am totally that person that I go for one thing, and then if I see at the top or the bottom they have the other stores, I'm clicking around. That cart's just getting bigger, and I'm spending more and more money. Let's be honest. Like, I am a sucker for that, especially with like kids, or heaven forbid, maybe I buy my husband something sometimes.
Lucky days. I can touch on that too. I can tell you firsthand that I know because I do a lot of consulting for businesses, during COVID, I saw a huge turn where businesses needing to do multiple sites. Well, at that time, multiple sites before this was available. The problem is that a lot of people, like I had, as an example, I had it's a French soap company, and they were all strictly business to business, all wholesale. Well, what happens when your brick and mortar gets shut down, or when their brick and mortars are no longer taking orders? And so now they said, hey, we have to sell directly to consumer. And so the problem is it's not as easy. Well, it is now with BigCommerce, but before it was a headache. Now you have to create another website, and you have to do this, and you don't want other people to know that you're doing this. And COVID changed a lot of things. I mean, it made it so people were forced into other areas, when before your wholesale business was great, everything was awesome until they shut down. I also had a gelato company that I worked with. Same situation. When the restaurants shut down, guess what? Nobody's ordering gelato. So what they had to do is they had to go directly to start selling through stores and through whatever grocery stores it was. And so they had to build another website specifically for that. So I think we saw a huge influx of that need. And once again, it's not just the big companies, right? It's not just the Nikes of the world. It's companies that want to do wholesale and also want to sell direct. And you don't want to, it's interesting if you have something, and this is one of the biggest things that I dealt with during COVID with these businesses is they're looking at this and going, well, I don't really want to put that I have a wholesale option, right? Or I am just all wholesale and now I can't sell retail, because if somebody comes in and says, wait, now we're competitors, right? Now you're coming in on my marketplace, even though I'm selling your product, you give me wholesale pricing, but now we're going to be competitors. So if you have a totally different name, different domain name, once again, it doesn't look like it's coming from the parent company. So there's some good things that can happen there. But it's, once again, I think it's super awesome what you guys have developed. It's super, like I said, I've been taking a look at it for a while now. I've been super impressed. So congratulations, you guys.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And it seems like you're really setting businesses up when you have lots of different people working and are trying to access the same tools. And you're talking about the different countries that streamlines this for them so much. So we've talked about, how can the stores with different teams handling the business's benefit. Please feel free to add anything else on there. And then what did businesses do before? Because I'm just listening to all that this does, and it seems like things were much more difficult previously if they weren't doing multi-storefront.
I feel like I could talk on that too. It was.
Yeah.
It was the old analogy that I feel like I'm like the old man. We talked about your parents would say, oh, I walked up the hill both ways in the snow and it was so bad back in the day. And you're like, oh, Dad, you're so funny. But like in this situation, like it was extremely difficult having multiple websites, especially when it comes to inventory and everything like that, not to have to log into different accounts and between passwords and everything like that. It would be nice to have a nice central hub. I mean, you think about anything, I think the way Amazon or any company works, it's usually have central hubs, right? Then what they do is they distribute from there. If you have 20 different places, you don't have a central hub, it becomes difficult to be able to manage things when it comes to inventory. So in these situations, what we're talking about is a back end where you can see everything. And that really hasn't been possible, right? Because you have multiple, we have crazy people like myself, like I have 4 businesses. Can you imagine? And I have to go into 4 different places. And if I have 4 different profiles for each 4 of those businesses, how many passwords I have and all the other fun stuff is a whole nother conversation. But now it made it so, hey, from an e-commerce perspective, you have everything right there in front of you, right? And you can be able to manage that. And the idea that even being done, what we used to have to do in the past was go and try to make a copy of the website and then go and try to make it so that it's more retail or more wholesale or whatever. It became a nightmare. But there was no other option. Like, what do you do, right? So it's like, well, we got to do this, and it sucks because there wasn't BigCommerce doing that. Actually, I think you guys were working on it. We just didn't know, and now we know. So it's awesome.
One more thing to add there too is that that's a good point where you have that product, and let's say you have 5 different websites, and you want to just make a simple text change. You've got to log into 5 different websites. Remember all your credentials for each of those. Make the same change. Hope you don't make a mistake on one of them. Whereas now you can just make that one central change.
Yeah.
One of the first interviews that we were doing when exploring how multi-storefront should work, how it should look like, was a brand. They have 9 stores across 3 different e-commerce platforms. So what they were telling us, it was a nightmare. Like, you need to clone products, clone SKUs, log into all those different platforms to manage all those different stores. So that's all true.
And then, Kristina, elaborate more about working with the different regions. And it just totally made me laugh about, like, I'm so that person that when I go to a website and it's like different regions, does anyone else like check the prices and the different forms of currency, just like thinking maybe it's cheaper just to order internationally or something? Or is that just
or maybe they sell different, they've got a different brand over there that we're not allowed to get over here, and I want to see what it is.
Sometimes it is like, sometimes the prices are different, the products are different. So we do hear this a lot from the merchants that they are planning to have a different pricing and marketing strategy across different regions. So they're actually looking to have the capabilities to manage that for different countries, for different shoppers. So now they can do that finally, which is cool, I hope.
I love that. And just a reminder for those of you that are joining us, maybe you just tuned in now, you can ask your questions. So if anything comes to mind, feel free to put those in the chat and I will be able to see them and get those asked for you, because we have a very good team of experts on this. So Anthony, I feel like you've been too quiet for us. So elaborate for us more on how you guys plan multi-storefront, and talk to us about what it was like to work with the global teams, because I find this so interesting.
Definitely. Okay, so I think the number one thing to get this whole thing going is travel. there was lots of travel involved putting this together. Even before we started building anything, I think at the end we had almost every engineering team at BigCommerce contributed in some capacity. So lots of travel to Kyiv office, lots of travel to Austin office, lots of travel to Sydney office, just making sure everyone's on the same page and we understood, what we were going to build from the start to the end, and even a bunch of stuff that we might not ever build. We plan for that too sometimes. Lots of great Georgian food with Kristina and team. Lots of late nights in the offices in Kyiv. Kristina, anything you want to add?
Just the fact that in Ukraine, where cuisine is gorgeous, you were eating Georgian food all the time, which is
all
crazy.
The time.
Like, this is just unbelievable. Like, in general, that was actually a project, a pretty big one that impacted every single team in BigCommerce. So it was a project that we were delivering across US, Ukraine, and Sydney offices, which basically was
awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, it was awesome, but crazy in terms of the time zone alignment, getting everyone up to speed with what needs to be done, and also trying to deliver that in time. But funny, good times.
I feel like you guys could have shot like your own like BigCommerce engineer foodie travel series. I mean, what happened to that? I would watch that.
So there's definitely pictures and videos from outings, and there may have been a pizza party for like an alpha early launch that there's a video for floating around somewhere.
And then, go ahead, Kristina.
I was saying, I hope not on Instagram.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And then how do you, when you're working with all of these global time zones, and then, I mean, I would love to know how many miles you guys have. If anyone wants to spare me a business class ticket to Australia, I'll take it. But just managing all these time zones, and how did you work together, and, some of the challenges with this whole global experience?
So for me, the first important thing is understanding the time zones. So world time clock was my friend. You can just go and put who you care about in there and just line it right up. Lots of calendar adjustments, I think, is probably the big thing. With pandemic, the last couple of years, not as much travel. So it's, I need to work with this team, during these hours. So I'll sleep a little bit more during the evening or in the day and get up and work early in the morning. Kristina and team and myself, lots of 5 a.m., 6 a.m., meetings, which is prime afternoon for them. Right. We just have to figure out how to adjust. And then it's the same, for each of the offices though, right? Like we want to have, at times we need a meeting with everybody or, all the primary leaders. And so somebody's going to be left out or at the odd end. So, we had meetings where in one office it was midnight, once a month. In one office it was, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then the other office it was, in the middle of the day. But we needed to have those communication, at least infrequently, but we had to figure out how to plan for that. And then, when traveling, it's a very similar thing. If I was traveling to the Kyiv office and working out of there, just paying attention to the different time zones and realizing, it's not the same difference to work with the Sydney people than if I was in, US. How about you, Kristina? You've accommodated your calendar very well, I think, during this whole project.
Oh yeah, but I'm more the evening person, so I hate all the morning calls that happen before 10 a.m. So it was really hard for me because for Ukraine, when you need to have calls with Australia, this is really early morning. So that was the worst, at least to me. But in general, like from a product perspective, product people, they don't like minimum valuable products. They would like always to build minimum lovable products. So to me, it was the hardest part where you need to say no to something that you wanted, where you need to make some trade-offs, figure out how to solve stuff. But in general, like looking back to 3 years ago, I would probably say that we managed to deliver almost everything that we wanted within this first step, which is really cool. Thanks to everyone involved. So this makes me really happy.
Oh, that's incredible. And then I know we had Cody Pittman. So if you worked internationally, does this work for brands in different nations with different currencies? Whoever wants to take this one.
I know everyone is looking at me. I know.
Because you know the answer to this question.
So in the way that Cody is asking this question with currencies, yes, multi-currency is supported at BigCommerce, so this can be used across multiple storefronts. However, there is a gap that merchants are always asking for, that we are aware of and that we are planning to solve, which is related to the ability to localize the websites into different languages. So there is a gap there, and our team, this is basically the next North Star that we are moving towards to solve for that as well.
To add on to that question too, so because you're specifically talking about currencies, language is a gap, right? And there are solves. We have merchants that we launched. We also, we've shown their use cases. Ted Baker is using Multi-Storefront, and they sell all across Europe or globally, and they have multiple languages. So is Cat Phones and Motorola Rugged. Those are our clients that are using Multi-Storefront and do have multi-language. That's just through the power of headless, which we love here at BigCommerce too, is Multi-Storefront headless. That is our solution today for merchants that have the multi-language and currency need. But if you are, let's say, just really focusing on currencies and that's your biggest need, maybe you sell in the United States and Canada and Australia and UK, similar markets with similar languages, and you just want to set different currencies, and even not just set a currency, but actually set very specific pricing for those currencies. So it's not just a conversion that is going to change all the time because conversion rates always fluctuate. You want to have control over your pricing. You want to know exactly what your price lists are for the different countries you sell into and for the different currencies that you support. You can set that out explicitly using BigCommerce Multi-Storefront combined with price lists, which is included as part of our enterprise plan. So another level of control. If currency is your really big focus, I just wanted to call that out.
That's amazing. It's a tool that's already there that maybe people didn't know about. I know we had another question if you want to throw that one back up for me. Yes. So Mark says, hello, BC team. A small question here. Any specific plan the merchant needs to be in to be able to use the new feature Multi-Storefront?
Yeah. So that's the,
yes.
Either way. We've got that. All of us can answer that one. Sorry. It's currently available for enterprise plan merchants. So if you're on a BigCommerce, and if for anyone not BigCommerce, like not that familiar with BigCommerce, you might think enterprise and think enterprise. This is like for merchants that are doing 50 million plus, $1 billion plus. That's just what we call we call a plan type enterprise plans. We have standard, plus, pro, and enterprise. So for that plan, it is available. And we do have a plan to release this out. Another really exciting release that Kristina and the team is working on is actually not just enterprise plans, but even our standard, plus, and pro plans, meaning if you're paying $30 a month on our standard plan, you will be able to access and use Multi-Storefront. So
wow,
very exciting.
That is very exciting. And then I wanted to say earlier, I feel like I maybe skipped over talking more about the storefronts, the uniqueness of them. Can we elaborate more just on the storefront, the design, the uses? And then it also looks, we have another question from Aldo. What are some of the challenges that BigCommerce is facing, and how do you think they will be overcome? So look at you, Aldo. Great question. So whoever wants to jump in and take either one of those.
Sounds like this is where you're talking to me, Kristina. Is that what you said? That's a question for me.
Of course.
So I think probably the biggest area that we're looking to work on with Multi-Storefront is around limits and performance. When we first released Multi-Storefront, we put some product limits in place for like number of products that is most efficient, number of categories, more as guidelines to kind of get started. And we've got our performance team working with our Multi-Storefront team now, figuring out how do we continue to improve, optimize, and increase those limits to be much higher.
And then talking about the uniqueness of the storefronts, anyone that can elaborate more on that? Can they all be unique, and just whatever else you can share with us?
Oh, here we have all the flexibility.
So you can pretty much do whatever you want. If you can do almost on one store, you can do on a multi-store.
Yes.
So you can have completely separate themes, logos, colors, all running under the same store.
I love it. Kristina and Anthony, I can tell that you guys work together all the time. I love your like back and forth. You're like, it's almost like a old married couple vibes. I love it. And the engineering team over here, you guys are cracking me up. And Kristina, so can multi-storefront, it can be multi-language. Elaborate on that for me.
So technically, as Halie mentioned, we do have capabilities for the merchants to expose different storefronts to being in different languages, which is right now being done by using kind of a third-party platform to power the storefront experience itself. And backend and all the management is powered by BigCommerce. So Ted Baker is a good example. We have Motorola and Cat phones doing pretty much the same. So we do already have some successful launches using that.
I'm always on Ted Baker's website, by the way. Thanks a lot, Kristina. Now I'm going to go shopping when we finish this live.
That's actually true. When we were when we launched Ted Baker, everyone was keeping a track of the metrics, and we were laughing internally that BigCommerce team is basically doing all the sales for Ted Baker during their first day.
You're like, you can. We'll just work together for an exchange of free clothes, please.
Kristina, how many did they actually launch with? Was it 10, 12?
It's 14.
14.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
But now, since Halie mentioned that already, we need to make one more important announcement. If Nike and Victoria's Secret is watching this live stream, so I'm making those examples all the time because, like, I'm putting these thoughts to the universe that maybe Nike, Victoria's Secret will now consider using BigCommerce since we have multi-storefront in place. So maybe a good addition to Ted Baker.
Kristina, I like how you're thinking. You need to manifest it, right? Living in Southern California, everyone talks about manifesting everything. So let's all manifest it, guys. Let's all put it out there right now, and then we'll see what happens. All right, Victor says, would using multi-storefront be more cost-effective than having multiple stores?
That's totally a Halie question.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, great. It should be more cost effective than managing multiple stores. So an example that we talk about is actually a merchant that's in our beta, and we've heard this before of they're working with their agency partner on what they could do. They know they wanted to have unique websites for their different brands that they managed. And historically, they're like, what is my option? So before multi-storefront was available, they thought their only option would be to have multiple stores. So think of having different websites and maybe you're all connected into a single ERP system, right? You're managing your business within one centralized ERP system that you've invested in. And then think of, great, well, I need to manage multiple stores for each of these brands. So that is multiple integrations to my back office system. That sounds expensive, right? If you've ever managed this, work with an agency or anyone to do this integration, it's expensive to do, and then it takes some time to maintain. So you could do one of those to a single store and just have the integration made so it's channel aware, because essentially that's all a storefront is. We're an omni-channel platform. A storefront is just a channel within a store. So it can save time in that initial implementation and build out, and then also in the long run of those maintenance costs for any sort of integrations that you're managing. Also, there are things too of like smaller cost as well, like themes, for example. You can purchase a theme and have a design, and then you can use that theme and apply it to your different storefronts as well. And then if you think of time as not just like cost savings of actual just cost, but in time savings, you're right, because you've got your staff, and as you're shaking your head, you're like, I can probably talk to that. You have your staff, and they can be trained on a single platform. They can log into a single area, and let's say you have a lot of products, and you have a brand new season. You're a fashion company, and you have a brand new season of products, and you just need to list all of those products on your different storefronts. You could just take all those products, upload it once, and then choose the storefronts that you want to apply it to, rather than go through and upload the products in one area and then make sure everything's right, and then upload it in the second area and then upload it to a third area. So just the cost savings in terms of time saved is huge as well.
Yeah, that's just how streamlined this is very impressive. So Jeff wants to know, while our web team works across all our brands, our customer service and sales teams who manage orders are brand specific. I assume the back end could still focus on one store's orders at a time. So how would it toggle between them?
Oh, that would be pretty easy. So there is a current functionality within the orders management UI where you can filter orders by the sales channel they're coming from. This includes not only storefront channels, but also third-party channels like Facebook, Amazon, eBay. So you can easily set up a filter for every sales channel that you would like to view and manage separately, and easily switch between those within your internal team.
Or see them all together on the same view without the filter.
Yeah, just to feel good, how much orders are you getting?
Yep.
And then Gert wants to know, is it possible to use different payment service providers in different storefronts?
So that's a good one. At this point, all the payment providers are shared and they are visible across all the storefronts that you manage within a single backend. However, this is also, you're taking a quick look into the future. This is something that we are planning to address as well, because we know that this is really important for merchants selling in different countries where they would like to have local payment providers available for the shoppers. This is also relevant for B2B versus B2C use case, where people who sell to B2B, they definitely don't want to allow credit cards because the paid amount is pretty huge. So they are enabling only invoices, for example. So there are a lot of good use cases that fall under this specific question, and we are definitely going to address that moving forward.
And it also brings up to me, Shane, we did a panel about crypto, and I know that this I feel like it all plays in together, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's all about different currencies, right? And especially, I know this is the thing, is the fact the fact that you can manage everything in one area, I think, is really the big thing. Obviously, there's other things with currency and stuff that can happen. Just the fact that this is happening, it really is kind of blowing my mind. I'm thinking about all the time that I've wasted doing multiple stores and how much clients have wasted their money. And hopefully they're not watching this, because they're going to, it wasn't around. It wasn't around when I told you guys that this wasn't an option. So please don't fire me. Don't be mad at me. But just the fact of what you guys have built, and the fact that you guys are talking in the future features and stuff that you can have different types of payments in different types of areas, it just blows my mind. Because I mean, it just wasn't possible before. And the fact, I don't know how much time you guys spent on this. Obviously, it sounds like a lot of time. I want to thank you guys before the end of this thing, from all the e-commerce stores out in the world. We want to thank you. Like, I'm coming as a united front to tell you guys, as BigCommerce, thank you guys about what you guys have created, because the people that have had to deal with this, understanding having 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different stores, and the nightmare and one of the things you didn't touch on was the nightmare of management of that. I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but just the headache of that, of like being able to do that and messing up and forgetting to do this here or do that there, or having this be wrong. It just becomes, I mean, you have to have somebody, if you have 10 stores, you have 20 stores or whatever it is like, how many people have to manage that and make sure it's done correctly? How many conversations you need to have for that to be able to be done correctly is just, once again, if you haven't dealt with it, I'm telling you, it's a nightmare. I can tell you that firsthand, because I was in the back end of this thing, and I'm not saying I ever messed up. I'm not saying that I didn't ever mess up, because this is being recorded, but I'm telling you, now it's going to be a lot easier.
So basically, BigCommerce engineer team, Shane is starting a fan club. So if you start seeing support tweets and Facebook messages, that is him. I know you wanted to say something as well.
Oh, no, I just for the payments note as well, you cannot have a unique payment service providers for different storefronts, but for that use case of multi-region, for example, majority of what our merchants will do is they'll work with a payment service provider that has a global offering in terms of payment methods. Like Adyen is a really great example. Love working with them. They have a ton of different payment methods that are local to each region. So one of the top payment methods in the Netherlands is Ideal, and in Germany is GiroPay. And so if the merchant's using Adyen across their store and on their storefronts, a shopper comes from Germany, they're going to see the appropriate local payment method, because that's based in the logic of using just a really great global payment service provider. So just to know, even though you can't attach, that doesn't help with like B2C, B2B, right? But for that local, showing the right payment method to each country, that is our current solve. So just wanted to make sure that was clear.
No, it's huge. And from just a consumer perspective, everyone, our attention spans are down to, I feel like, not even a second. So if you run any obstacle where something is not extremely easy, you click away. So all of this is very, very important. Andrew says, if you have a checkout based on the open source checkout, is there any specific changes required to support MSF?
Anthony, I thought you would love to answer that one. But
I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head to this question. I thought maybe you might.
Oh!
From what I remember, nothing specific is needed. So our one-page checkout, native BigCommerce one, is built on top of Checkout.js. So it should work in the same way with Multi-Storefront. But since Anthony is not sure, I'm not sure as well now.
Well, we'll double check and get a response out to the appropriate platform.
Yeah.
I love in mine boxes. It's like Haley's in the middle, going back and forth between the two of them. It's like
it's like the old Hollywood Squares show.
Oh, it's too funny. Well, this has been such a great chat. I want to throw out there that this is the last call for questions. If anyone has any other questions. Andrew, I'll go back to our partner. So quickly, anything that we didn't touch upon that you feel like you've been waiting to say this or share this, or you're excited about it, or anything else you want to tease about what you guys are cooking up?
Anything? Anyone? Like in general, we've been working on this for years, so I think everyone here is super excited that we finally get this out of the door, and now people actually started using it and started basically getting sales, launching their businesses. So this is really cool to see this happening. So that's something that I think we're all very proud of.
Yeah, you get to see your hard work come to fruition and people using and loving what you created. That's the best.
Now we can retire.
We're ready to retire.
No, we still got to get phase 5.
You just got to go on vacation and use some of those miles.
I think too that the exciting part is that, like, just I know we talked about it earlier, but just in case if people have joined later, is this was just really the first big milestone with releasing Multi-Storefront. It wasn't here's Multi-Storefront. The end. We hope you like it. That's all we have planned. It's not that. This is the first release, and as Kristina alluded to earlier, like we have a lot more that we're wanting to do, like with unique payment service providers, unique shipping and tax for your different storefronts, having an easier way to control different languages for your storefronts within BigCommerce's native experience. All of that is coming. It's part of our plan. And those are really big requests that we're getting from people. And then also what I'm really excited about too, and in BigCommerce we've been excited about, is getting to release this out to even smaller plans. I mean, everyone will have access to this. New clients, existing clients, all the way up from standard plans to enterprise plan merchants. So that's an also really exciting thing that's coming, with even more really cool things coming next year that we'll talk about those later.
Exciting. Gert's back with another question. How would it work with multiple warehouses being in different countries in relation to having different stock levels per country? Is that possible or on the roadmap?
Yeah. So as people using BigCommerce now, you probably know that natively we currently don't have multi-location inventory management. However, the first step is made there, and it's also one more huge milestone for BigCommerce. Functionality for buy online, pick up in store is now in closed beta, so this is coming as well moving forward. But at this point, basically, in order to do that, this is possible using third-party providers for locations and warehouse and inventory management. So this can easily be connected to BigCommerce through the APIs, and you can manage inventory for the products across different locations on a store with Multi-Storefront, just using basically a third-party platform for that.
And then Mira wants to know, can we enable some payment methods on the storefront and some payment methods on another storefront?
So same as with payment providers, payment methods within those providers are also shared at this point. However, like from what Halie mentioned, fortunately, when you have really cool partners working with a platform, I love that, when you don't need to do anything as a platform, and all the cool capabilities are being built by partners. So payment providers that are smart in terms of the global shopping, you just install this provider and those payment methods would just appear based on the shopper location. So that's a pretty good solution for that till we solve that within a platform.
Well, I love it. I feel like this chat has been so helpful. You're also getting to know what people are really looking for, and it helps inspire you. And for users to get to have a direct line of communication with you is incredible. Shane, anything else you want to say as we begin to wrap things up?
No, I'm just telling once again my clients that are mad at me right now. Obviously, you guys can switch to BigCommerce. It's going to be easy. You guys don't have to have all 9 stores. I apologize about not knowing this was in the mix. And I understand that if you guys have to leave me, that I get it. The reason why you go to BigCommerce because it's easier over there. So yeah, that's it. It's good to know that we have it now for future clients. And now that this has been out there, it's going to be super easy for people who have multiple stores. I'm excited about where you guys are at today, and I'm excited to see what you guys are building in the future. It's once again, I'm thoroughly impressed with your guys' stuff. Congratulations to the team.
Yeah, most definitely. Anthony, anything else from you before we say goodbye?
No, I was just gonna on Shane's last comment. I was just gonna say you might not have to actually just completely let him go, Shane. We might be able to work something out that you can like help them migrate and get a cut of it or something like that.
Yeah, my kids need to eat, so yeah, that's important. I don't want them to fully leave. You still need me a little bit because I have the connections at BigCommerce. So there we go. That's good to know.
I love it. And Halie, any final thoughts?
I'm just excited to see what people build using Multi-Storefront, right? Because in the end, we're just a technology. It's just something that enables you to run your business and manage your business more efficiently. So I'm just really excited to see the unique use cases, what agency partners come up with, solving problems for clients, and what merchants were able to do with this. So please always share your story, share what you're doing, share what you're building. Being in marketing, we always want to use that because it also helps the stories of other merchants of, oh, you're doing that. That's a good idea. I'm going to do that as well. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. This was great. BigCommerce rocks. And these videos will live on the Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn accounts of BigCommerce. So you can watch it later and drop some comments below. And you guys, I'm sure, will be able to take a look at that. And if it inspires anything else that you're cooking up. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I'm Stuart Brazel. Thank you so much for joining us for this BigCommerce live discussion. Thank you to my incredible panel. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll say bye now.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.